Yeah, I just wanna be the greatest. Everybody knows my name, shit. I'ma have this whole fucking game list, spitting with insane wit, and I'm gonna be famous. Ain't nobody able to delay this. Coming up, I had a vision to make it. Never wanted to be nothing, always wanted to play shit. Sit in class, always wondering why I love this lame shit. How the hell am I different if we all know the same shit? I ain't never let them down me, it's about me. Keep my head down, let my mouth speak. They surround me, they all about the clout, see where the crowd be. Every time I speak loudly, they more about me. Man, you know I got a bounty on these lousy ass haters that surround me. Still they doubt me, they don't know nothing about me. Still their mouths free, I'ma change that soon. Better watch out now, see?
I just wanna be the greatest, yeah. And I just wanna be famous, yeah. I just wanna be the greatest, yeah. And I just wanna be famous, yeah.
And I'm not playing any more games. Either put me on the charts or I'll put you up in flames. Better recognize art, cause I don't forget names. Should've seen me from the start, coming at you like a train. Think I'm about to fall apart every single fucking day. Seeing all these damn stars with my well-deserved fame. And I spit these gold bars while they spitting out shit. Man, I give this shit hard, but it gives me back pain. I wanna be a spectacle, they skeptical. But man, I got that chemical, exceptional. I do it all intentional, professional. So I can make that decimal incredible. I'm not thinking, man, they're saying that I've gone insane. I'm not ever gonna make it cause the game has changed. I'm not good enough, man, no that's not okay. Tell me that shit again and I'll stop and pray.
I just wanna be the greatest, yeah. And I just wanna be famous, yeah. I just wanna be the greatest, yeah. Man, I just wanna be famous, yeah.
Now wake up, you got some shit to do. It's 6 a.m, I don't care, you got some shit to prove. Cause right now, you ain't got nothing that big to lose. So get your ass to work and don't you dare hit snooze. Can't stop this, I'm obnoxious. And I'm honest and novice with promise. Made monstrous, I'm conscious, but I'm nauseous. Think I've lost it, I've got it. Spitting all this, still I'm not it. I've got this, I will not quit. Man, I'm all in, balling on a budget. Man, I'm stalling, crawling, cause I'm nothing, but I'm all in, calling, I'll be something. Yeah, I'ma get it now, you can leave if you don't like it. Say it out loud, you believe it, you can bite this. Keep my head down and I keep on going timeless. Make it somehow, I believe it when I write this.
I just wanna be the greatest, yeah. And I just wanna be famous, yeah. I just wanna be the greatest, yeah. And I just wanna be famous, yeah.
What is going on, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Eagles Uncensored podcast. I am here with my boy and my brother from another mother, Philly Foothills Fuego. How you doing, sir? Welcome back, and just want to welcome you back to YouTube, and appreciate you being back on here with me, man. It's been a long time.
Yes, it has, and it's good to be back. It definitely is. What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Philly Foothills out here in Cali, bleeding green into the Pacific Ocean, which I have been for the last 30 years now. It's my 30th anniversary of being an Eagles fan, and I am feeling the vibe once again. I am ready to get back into it. Appreciate each and every one of you. Like I've said before, I'll say it again, and I'll keep saying it. You guys are the absolute food in the water to not only my channel, but to AK Eagles channel, the Eagles Uncensored podcast. Without you, it does not continue to survive. So if you're feeling the vibe, please like, share, comment, and subscribe. Let's go.
Yes, sir. Man, I missed that one. You know, that was always a nice intro. I enjoyed it. And I am AK Eagles. I may fuss and cuss, but you can count on me and my content like the fucking city bus. And if you like the Wagyu, subscribe to. So man, first and foremost, we'll talk about this past weekend, Monday Night Football, when we played the Packers. How'd you feel about it? What'd you see? What'd you like? What didn't you like? Let me hear it.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely a clash of two potential playoff teams. We're obviously in the driver's seat of our division. They got a little more competition in their division, but, I think the defense definitely made a statement. Even though, they're a little beat up on the offense, Green Bay was missing their starting tight end, missing a couple wide receivers, but they still got a very good quarterback. They still got a very good running back and a good offensive line. So, a win's a win. We said that before. It doesn't matter how pretty it is, how ugly it is. It's still a W on the schedule, and we got out of Green Bay with a win. There was definitely some questionable calls in that game. Running the ball on 3rd and long, throwing the ball on 3rd and short, things like that. Going for it at the end there on 4th down when they should have just punted and pinned Green Bay deep with like about 30 seconds left or so in the game. So, I definitely liked what I saw from the defense, especially the inaugurational game for, one Jalen Phillips. And yeah, I think we definitely saw a championship caliber type of defense from our Eagles. The offense, definitely a little more questionable there. But, like I said, a win's a win, and we chalk it up as another victory against the NFC North, which now we've beaten the Vikings, we've beaten the Packers. We have the Lions tomorrow night in prime time on Sunday Night Football. And in 3 weeks, we have the Bears with the Cowboys mixed in the middle there. But, I think this game is, with the Lions coming up tomorrow night, is definitely going to be a challenge for the Eagles. They're beat up a little bit as well. But I personally want to sweep the NFC North. I really do. I want to make a statement, especially tomorrow night, to the NFC, to the rest of the NFL, that the Eagles are still a force to reckon with. But you were there. You were in Green Bay. You were at Lambeau Field. What did you see in person that you liked that you didn't like?
Well, first and foremost, it was very cold. Very cold.
I bet. I hope you wore some warm clothes.
No, I did, but even still, I was cold. For how cold it was, for how slow the game was, it was kind of irritating, And there was a bunch of Eagle fans there, and they were kind of on the same wavelength as me, as it was a very slow game because of, like you said, all the running that they both did on each side. No, neither offense seemed to get anything going. The whole game. It was actually piss poor on both sides. For us sitting up here and saying that it is a win and we'll take a win, I still don't like the win that we got. And when we say, hey, yeah, you know what, it wasn't pretty, but a win's a win, we're not accepting it. We are accepting it, but we're not. I accept it is a W. It is a W in the win column. But it was unacceptable whenever you look at this team and how much talent you have on both sides of the football. And to only sit there and to get 10 points. Now, granted, this reflects on what you said too. It was by far a defensive game. It might be the best I've seen our defense play all year long. It might be the best I've seen that Green Bay Packer defense play all year long. But still, the fact that you can go in, and let me put it to you this way too. Before that game, I don't know if any of you guys remember, but a lot of people were saying Green Bay were kind of the number one team in the NFC at that moment, with the previous games that they had. So we went in there and we beat them by 3 points. A sad 3 points, but we beat them. The Lions are now looked at as being the top dogs in the NFC. Now, I assume we're going to go in there and beat them as well, because that's normally what we always do. but I also do look at how we do it. And I will say that offensive display Monday night was terrible. You know, it was the only good thing about Monday night was that throw to Smitty for the touchdown. You know, I mean, that was literally the only good thing about the whole game Monday night offensively. There was a bunch of Eagle fans in that stands wondering what the hell Nick was doing at the end of the game whenever he sat there and he went for it on fourth down that close to the 50, because we all know all it was going to take was maybe a 20-yard pass for them to get a field goal and tie the game. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
we all were wondering what the hell was going on there too. I agree with you. Why not punt it and pin them in the end zone, you know, and just let the D play it out? But hey, he had other plans, and it's very frustrating to watch, you know, as fans of this team, because we know how good they can be, you know, and certain times this year they have shown that they can be that good. You know, we've seen it in games from time to time. So even though we won, it was a very frustrating win. Like I said, all the positives come on the defensive side of the ball for me. Adoree Jackson probably played his best game all year Monday night, you know.
Agreed.
Phillips looked amazing out there. That was fun to watch, you know. It was even really cool seeing BG out there. You know, that was really cool, man. You know, and he was out there for a few snaps on Monday night, and he looked good. He looked damn good, you know, and he looked ready to play. He was definitely excited to be out there when he was. So, yeah, man, it's just I think we all know where our defense is right now. You know, I think we all can agree that our defense is at least a championship caliber defense. Now we just got to get our offense there. Defenses win championships, so that's the positive to this whole thing. You know, the fact that you can go in now, whatever you want to say about Green Bay, the one thing I can say is Green Bay can score points when they want to. They truly can. We've seen it. So to go in there and only hold them to 7 points all game, it's pretty impressive, man. You know, because Josh Jacobs isn't someone to scoff at. You know, their wide receiver core isn't the greatest in football, but they damn sure ain't the worst. They're pretty damn good for being a bunch of no-name people. You know, so yeah, man, I really enjoy being in Lambeau. You know, like I told you backstage, I love our stadium, but Jesus Christ, dude, Lambeau Field is gorgeous. It is gorgeous. I can't even put into words what that stadium is like. It's like the Taj Mahal of stadiums. You know what I mean? Like it is one of the it is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen stadium wise when it comes to professional sports. They truly know what they're doing in Green Bay, man. They do. So
Yeah, I'm very glad that you got to experience that, and you got to go to Lambeau. You know, it's definitely on my bucket list to check out someday, and I hope to do so. It's if you're not, you know, if it's not on your bucket list and you're an NFL, you know, you're just a fan of the NFL in general, to putting fandom aside for a specific team. If going to Green Bay is not on your bucket list, there's something wrong, definitely. But because that place has been around for, like you said, eons. It's a legendary stadium, and yeah, it's an amazing place to, from what I've heard, to go to experience, to, you know, just to take it all in and everything like that. You know, the frozen tundra, the frozen tundra of Lambeau Field. You know, it's good, and I'm like I said,
dude, I've already seen snow this year, and I was only up there for 4 days. You know, like,
Yeah, they definitely get their fair share of the white stuff. But yeah, shout out to everybody in the chat right now. We appreciate you guys. Thank you guys for stopping by and checking in. Please, drop your comments and we'll definitely try to get to them when we can. But yeah, the game Monday was definitely frustrating to watch, especially on the offensive side. Again, we're back again talking about the offense, the offensive coordinator, things like that. I've heard some rumors, speculation, whatever you want to call it, that Jalen and AJ called that last play on 4th down. Now, I don't know how true that is, and it doesn't really even matter who called it, who didn't call it. It was obviously the wrong call, and trying to be way too overly aggressive. It's one thing to go for it on 4th down right there, but to take a deep shot, especially into double coverage, I mean, that was just asinine, and we're lucky it didn't bite us in the ass. We really are, because like you said, they were just, a couple of 10-yard, maybe even 20-yard throw away from getting into field goal range and tying the game up and sending it into overtime. And at that point, you never know what's going to happen. So definitely hoping for a much more stronger offensive showing from Jalen, from our receivers, from the running game. That's a question I got for you, as well, and for the chat. Does everybody think that is Cam Jurgens going to play? And if not, or if he does, I should say, how's that going to affect the running game? And also, too, I think we're going to see a lot more explosion from the passing game because Detroit likes to play a lot of man coverage. And if you're an Eagles fan, if you follow this team closely, you know that Jalen Hurts, this receiving core, this offense in general, just tends to put up bigger numbers when they play against man coverage. So, yeah, I'm definitely excited for tomorrow night. My expectations are pretty high, and we'll see. It's going to be interesting. The crowd's going to be raucous in Philly. Detroit's got to come into our house. Dan Campbell, he already put it out there that it's an intimidating place to play because he's a former tight end in the league, and he has experienced the wrath that the Philadelphia Eagle fans can give and will give. So I think that's going to kind of trickle down into the players' mindset as well. So I'm definitely hoping for a good outcome tomorrow night. And, yeah, I mean, I think that if the defense plays as well as they did against Green Bay, like you said, it's probably the best defensive showing we've seen from this team all year. And with some of the new pieces, that's another thing we got to talk about too. J.A., that's kind of surprising, but some of the new pieces coming into getting more familiar with this system and the players around them, like Phillips, and are we going to see Michael Carter on the field on defense? Are the Eagles going to stick with Carter, or I should say stick with Jackson as CB2, or are we going to see Coop slide outside, or maybe even Bennett play some CB2, and maybe see Carter in the slot? So, it's going to be very, very interesting to watch, and I can't wait.
Yeah, man. It will be interesting to see how Vic schemes it up, considering he has tons of pieces he can use now in the secondary and on the line, which only makes his job easier, because he can show different looks and do different things to confuse offenses, which is cool. But let me ask you this, because you brought it up, and EC1 brought it up in here. I heard a little while back that Jalen, over the last, I'd say probably year here, he's kind of grown a little bit of a complex. You know, what Carson Wentz went through, you know, complex wise. Um, and that was from, you know, somebody who, when I hear it from him, I can tell you he has ears on the inside. So if he hears something like that, my ears perk up. You know, how much of this issue this year offensively we all can agree is the OC, but how much is it also on Hurts? You know, you make the comment that he's really good in man, but he's been very piss poor in zone this year, which zone was actually one of his big things that he was good at. So my whole thing is, if you're getting worse in that one category, is it because you think you already have that mastered, so you're not paying as much attention to that, and now the mistakes are being shown? You know, because if you recall, he wasn't the best at man before. He was good in zone, but he wasn't the best in man. Now he's kind of reversed. He's good in man, just not so good in zone. So do you believe this is a aspect of Jalen Hurts' game with him changing, whether that be his personality or the way he's growing as, you know, a quarterback, to maybe to certain points to where he also is hurting this team? And that's not saying I want to get rid of him or anything like that. This is just an honest question. There are times when quarterbacks try to do too much and they feel like they have to do a lot and they get stuck. Josh Allen's kind of going through it right now in Buffalo because of limited weapons. Sometimes he gets stuck trying to be a superhero. Same thing that Carson Wentz got hit with here multiple times. Sometimes you're trying to do too much. You make things too complicated. Calm your mind down, simplify it, you know, and just play football like you know. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I'm talking about. I really feel the kid's almost making it too complicated for him all of a sudden. Like he's trying to be better than what he has to be. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I think I definitely agree with you when you talk about him falling off against the zone and playing better against man. But I think that has very little to do with Jalen himself. I think it has more to do with our offensive coordinator and the plays that are being called, the plays that are being ran, because it's pretty coincidental that, like you said, before he's done better against zone and hasn't fared as well against man coverage, but it's the opposite this year. And I think a lot of that stems back to KP. I really, really don't think that Jalen's mindset has changed in any way. I think he's still, you know, just next play type of guy. Put in hard work, let it show itself on game day. And, you know, I think that the lack of running game, the lack of consistency with our rush attack has definitely had an effect on Jalen and the passing offense, because once a defense knows that they don't really have to pay as much attention to the run, then they're going to put more attention on the pass, right? So, you know, I personally think that one thing that can help, whether it is man coverage, whether it is zone, we've seen it in the Super Bowl that Dotson can play outside, right? Mm-hmm. And another way to get Brown some more targets, what I think would be to – now I'm not saying all the time, don't get me wrong, but sometimes, some plays, maybe a drive here and there, have AJ slide inside in the slot, have him run some routes from the slot receiver position, because not only will he be facing, a nickel corner or a dime corner, it's just going to be able to get him in open space more and let him do damage when he does have the football in his hands. And yeah, I know that AJ has been definitely expressing his frustration in this offense, but I mean, his most recent opening up on the Madden stream, he wasn't saying anything that a lot of us Eagle fans weren't already thinking. It's just a matter of him expressing it out of his own mouth. And with everything that has transpired this year to this point, I think that we have to try to find some ways to open this offense up. Like I said, Smitty, obviously brilliant on the outside. He's having a career year. Dotson, we know he can play outside. And, when he runs a double move on people, things like that, the reception that he almost scored in the Super Bowl that set up our first touchdown, he was on the outside. So I think we need to kind of go back to that a little bit here and there, keep the defense on their toes a little bit more, not just, run the same receivers in the same spot all the time. You got to kind of mix it up, got to kind of keep them guessing. And if they have to adjust and move guys around, that's just going to make them have to focus a little harder, and it could cause some confusion on the defensive side of the ball for opposing teams. So, I definitely know where AJ's coming from, and I feel for him, but he's got to just kind of keep putting one foot in front of the other, one day at a time type of scenario, type of mindset, and not let the past dictate what can happen in the future. So that's just my take on it,
Yeah. No, I understand why AJ is vocalizing his frustrations. I mean, and you are right. He's not saying anything that any of us out here hasn't already said. I think why everyone's making a bigger deal about it than what it is because it is actually a player saying it rather than a fan, which obviously makes it that more true what we're talking about, because, if players are saying it, then it's obviously got to be fact,
Yeah, and it's a star player, too, who's already had a lot of media attention on him in the past. So, you know.
Well, and listen, I have always asked the question, I feel our players and our owners should be more open, and our coaches, like, for instance, if Tennessee drafts Cam Ward and Cam Ward is shit, then straight up say, hey, I fucked up. Cam Ward is not the guy. We thought he was, but obviously he isn't. He's trash. My bad. We'll get a new guy next year. Most people are like, yeah, but people won't do that because there's a lot of money tied up into these guys, and two, you don't want to admit that you made a mistake. Why not? Why can't you admit that you made a mistake? And because it is millions and millions of dollars we're talking about, I'd rather you admit your mistake and move on from it rather than blow that millions. You know what I mean? So yeah, I do understand, and I like where he's coming from, because I do believe the NFL should be more that way. AJ, if my OC is shit, come out and say, no, our OC's fucking trash. That's why our offense sucks. Hey, at least you gave me a reason now to look at somebody. If it's Jalen, tell me it's Jalen. If it's Nick, tell me it's Nick. I don't give a fuck. Just give me something to go off of. When we sit here for 8 fucking weeks straight, twiddling our thumbs and chopping our own heads off because we're trying to figure out what's going on and no one's telling us anything, we put a lot of money into these teams every year. A shit ton of money. So we deserve a right to know what is going on with our team. And whenever somebody is shit, you should have the ability to tell me as a fan that someone is shit. And
Facts.
I understand that you don't want them doing that because that's not a good look for your team. It's not a good look for your front office. Everyone makes mistakes, though. If you hire a bad coach, if you draft a bad player, what the fucking do? It is what it is. Do you think, and that's the thing too. We look at this as an entertainment factor. We look at this as a sport, and it's a fucking career. This is a job. This is a job to them, just like an everyday job to one of us. The only difference is they get paid a shit ton of money to do it because it's just that big of a thing, you know. But in the end of the day, it is still a job. They get fired, they get released, they lose money, they gain money for performance. Like it doesn't make them any better than us. It doesn't. So, you think my company would care if they fire me? No, they don't lose sleep over it. You think they care if they fire you? No, they don't lose sleep over it. You think Howie cares if he has to let go of Jair Alexander or any of the? No, he doesn't. You know. Now, granted, you have your Fletcher Cox, you have your BGs that you have to let go of when they retire, and that sucks for him. But as far as just like, for instance, even if Phillips does really good for us the rest of this year, and he comes in and takes us to the Super Bowl and wins, and Howie doesn't sign him back, do you think he's going to care? No, just next man up. You know what I mean? It's always that way. It is a business, and we got to stop acting like these guys hung the fucking moon all the time. They're just
Yeah.
people at the end of the day. They're just extraordinary athletes. They do things that us normal people can't do. And I understand
No
that, and
doubt.
that's why they get paid the big bucks. But in the end of the day, it's still a job.
Yeah. They just get paid a lot more money than the average person,
Yeah,
that's for sure.
100%.
Yeah, and even, like you said, anybody, even AJ is expendable. We know obviously we didn't trade him before the deadline, but if even if we win the Super Bowl this year, if we go back to back, if Howie goes to AJ in the offseason and says, "Hey, look, what's more important to you? Winning a third ring, possibly even more in the future, or like we talked about last stream, stat padding, right?" Because AJ obviously wants to be a Hall of Famer someday, and he definitely very well may be. But if he wants to do that as opposed to winning more Super Bowls, winning more games, staying in the midnight green, staying in the Kelly green, then Howie should go to him and be like, "Hey, look, if stat padding is more important to you, then I'm going to send you to Buffalo or I'm going to send you to New England, and you can go play with a top-notch quarterback over there and be their true, absolute number one receiver."
Let me ask you this. Is Danny Amendola or Julian Edelman Hall of Famers?
No.
What? No?
Danny Amendola and
Julian Edelman, 3-time Super Bowl winning wide receivers. I don't care about stats, okay? Even if these guys both have 12,000 yards receiving, 3 Super Bowl rings, you're in the Hall of Fame in my eyes. See, that's what I'm saying. Like, and I've told you this many times. We are way too lenient on who we let into the NFL. Way too lenient. Hall of Fame, I mean, not NFL.
yeah, I know what you
Way
meant.
too lenient. Okay, like I don't. To be a Hall of Famer, you are the best of the best of the best, sir. You know what I mean? Like you are the top notch people, the people who have came in and changed this game for the good. And have done extraordinary things. That is a Hall of Famer to me. You know. yeah, Julian Edelman and Danny Amendola don't have 20,000 receiving yards, but they have more Super Bowls than damn near every fucking wide receiver to ever play this game. You know what I mean? Now, granted, yes, they had Tom Brady, but they still had to catch those balls. So
They did. You got a point, definitely.
I don't just look at stats for Hall of Fame. I look at dubs, and that's why Mike Evans will be a first ballot Hall of Famer. Yeah, he has one Super Bowl, but he also has 12 1,000-yard seasons. That is game changing. That is why Jerry Rice is in there. That is why Barry Sanders is in there without a Super Bowl. That is why Dan Marino is in there without a Super Bowl. That is why, in my opinion, Donovan McNabb and Phillip Rivers should never be in there, because you have one quarterback who could never get it done, and then you had another quarterback who had all the weapons that anyone could ever want, defensively and offensively, and never got it done. So it is about winning to me, but it is about stats as well. Yeah, like I said, minimum stats, but 3 Super Bowls, I'm putting you in. You get 20,000 yards receiving, but 1 Super Bowl, I'm putting you in. You just get 12,000 yards receiving, you're not getting in.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely I agree with you partially. I think it definitely has to do with a combination of both winning and stats. Obviously, you put winning above stats, which is fine. But I think it's more of it's more stats first, winning second, but it's pretty close. Because look at a guy like Randy Moss, right? He never won a Super Bowl, but yeah, he's in the Hall of Fame because he's one of the best wide receivers to ever play the game. We saw it time and time again, and he definitely deserved to be in the Hall of Fame.
Mm-hmm.
So, I would say Amendola, no, but Edelman, definitely. I'm more on track with that. Like you said, they had Tom Brady, but they also had Gronk too, right? Which was a huge focus on the defense, on the opposing defense, which took the attention away from both of them during their tenure with the Patriots. So, they it's not like they were kind of out there by themselves trying to get it done with scraps around them, with scrubs around them. They definitely had a great quarterback, an amazing quarterback.
They did. I mean, if you think about it, their halfback was James White, and that was our third string halfback that ended up going over there and winning 3 Super Bowls. So yeah, I mean, they kind of did do it. The only real true weapon there was Gronk, and half the time he was fucking injured, whether it was back injuries, arm injuries, fucking leg injuries. Like that's all I'm saying, man. Like I get what you're saying, but James White, he wasn't anything on our team. But he goes over there and he's a starter and wins 3 Super. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. To most people, James White wouldn't be a Super Bowl or a Hall of Famer. And he probably isn't a Hall of Famer, but those 3 Super Bowls are going to stand for something, whether you want them to or not. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I guess you kind of when you're deciding on the Hall of Fame, in my eyes, you kind of have to take a step back and look about not only how much they helped their team win the actual Super Bowl, but how much did they help their team get to those Super Bowls and to win those Super Bowls. So, yeah, I totally understand where you're coming from, and
all of his O-line should be Hall of Famers. All 5 of those guys in front of Tom Brady should be Hall of Famers, 100%, because those guys made him a 6-time world champion. Truly, all of them.
Yeah. I mean, they had the notorious Aaron Hernandez as well in New England. Rest in peace. Definitely never liked to see, even though he did what he did and obviously went to prison for it, took his own life in prison. never like to see anybody, no matter what they did, take their own life. So, like I said, rest in peace to him. But I mean, they had, like you said, they didn't really have much of a running game, but
No.
you know, they kind of at times they use the short passing game, the screen game, things like that to kind of help with the lack of a running game, right? Mm-hmm. So, you know, like James White, like you said, he did his thing in New England. Like you said, he didn't do a damn thing for us when he was in Philly, but you know, he's a good receiving back out of the backfield. And yeah, I mean, it's an interesting topic that, you know, that we're covering right now. And I think it's definitely something that we could talk about a lot more for sure.
Yeah, no, it's weird because damn near none of his offense are Hall of Famers. Truly, none of them, except for his O-line and him. You know, because like I said, James White, I will put Amendola and Edelman in just because of their tenure there and winning 3 or 4 with them. That has to stand for something. You know, considering he didn't get it done with Moss,
right?
That definitely stands for something. But anyway, let's move on to the Lions game coming up tomorrow at 8. You know, this is going to be the big one here. I will be positive and say that we win this game, but I'll tell you what, man, this might be the next one that we drop. And the only reason that I say that is sorry. They got a very good offense, man. You know, they got 2 very good halfbacks. They have 2 very good wide receivers. Their tight end is amazing. You know, say what you want about Goff, man. All Goff does is just win there in Detroit, you know. And that's all the kid's done, and he's done it quietly, and he's never thrown a fit. He just does what he's asked to do. Defensively, they're a very dangerous team as well. So this is going to be like going up against ourselves for the very first time, you know, offensively and defensively. The only difference is Dan Campbell started calling his plays last week, and look at what they did. They fucking destroyed. So we'll see what happens. I like the corner wide receiver matchup. I like our D-line matchup with the run game. But if we're not careful, though, especially offensively, man, this game can get out of hand fast for us. You know?
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's going to be a tough matchup, like you said. Detroit's a little banged up. You know, they're going to be without their starting tight end. Laporta he's already been ruled as out, so they'll be without their starting tight end, which is going to help our secondary, especially the safeties, Blankenship, Makuba, even, you know, Sidney Brown, if he gets in there as well, to help focus more on the wide receivers, like you said. You know, they have a couple of very talented, very well-experienced wide receivers. And, yeah, they have a franchise quarterback in Jared Goff. You know, he's continuing to get it done in Detroit. But, yeah, it's going to be very, very interesting to see what Vic schemes up with our defense coming off of that pretty dominant showing against Green Bay. You know, obviously, I think Detroit's got a little more firepower on the offensive side of the ball. Like you all also said, they have a couple of very, very good running backs. They have a good offensive line. But yeah, they're battling injuries on both sides of the ball. We're a lot healthier, so I do like our chances. But you know, if we do happen to drop this one tomorrow night, it's not going to be the end of the world, Eagles fans. Let's not lose our mind about it. Let's not go off the rails. Losses are a part of the game, and I'd rather lose one to them in November and get one back in January. So, yeah, I mean, it'll just give us that much more if we do happen to drop an L tomorrow, it'll give us that more ammunition, the fuel in the tank, the fire lit underneath us to get some revenge, just like we did against the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. So I think to me they're especially what Hutchinson said, they've had this one circled on their calendar all season. This is like their Super Bowl, and I think they may come in a little too hyped for this one, and it could affect them negatively. We'll see. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch. I hope it's a lot more entertaining than the game that you witnessed in Green Bay, especially offensively wise. But I think that our offense tends to bounce back. After having a slow game, they usually tend to bounce back and put up a better performance the following week. So I definitely think that we're going to see a good mixture of run and pass. I think you're going to see Jalen Hurts under center once again. And yeah, I mean, look for. I think that with I believe there's a safety and a corner out for Detroit. So I think that Goddard's going to have a big game. I think he's going to expose the middle of the field, and I think that Goddard may have a touchdown, maybe even 2 tomorrow night. So, yeah, what's going on? Appreciate you,
Mitch. Thank you, sir.
Yep. Thank you very much. But yeah, I mean, do you think that we're going to continue to see Jackson mostly at CB2, or maybe Bennett will get in a little bit there as well? Maybe even see Coop on the outside. What do you think tomorrow? What are we going to see?
I don't know, man. You would think if they were going to move him, they would have done it already, But like I said, he also seemed to settle in really nicely this past Monday. When he made that one pass deflection, I think it was like in the second half, in like the third or fourth. I remember there was a few Eagle fans around me. They were like, "Holy shit, was that Jackson?" Like, because you just don't expect it from him.
Right.
So no, he seems to be settling in. He seems to be getting his feet under him, in the system. So we'll see what happens. I wouldn't say he's as bad as what he was at the beginning, but
agreed.
I don't know, man. Whatever's best for the team, whatever Vic feels is the best. If that's where he's supposed to be, then by golly, that's where he's going to be, and I trust him. So, but as far as this Lions game, man, I really think this just comes down to competent OCs. If Vic can keep Dan Campbell off his game long enough, offensively, and just frustrate him a little bit, I think as long as KP comes in with an actual game plan, we have a really good shot, but if he comes in with that whack-ass game plan from last week and expect to win this game, it's going to be a lot harder,
Yeah. I think some of the play calling, especially once the game once KP kind of saw how the game was playing out in Green Bay, he definitely kind of was playing it safe with, running the ball more, passing it less, obviously, and just trying to, not lose the game as opposed to winning it. But like we've seen in the past, that could come back to bite you in the ass, especially with a high-powered offense, a potential high-powered offense like we've seen the Detroit Lions can be. So I don't think he can – unless our defense comes out and just literally shuts Detroit down, which I don't think is going to happen. They're going to get their yards. It's just going to be a matter of kind of Vic sticking to that bend but don't break type of defense. And it's, for the most part this year, it has worked for us. But, on the offensive side of the ball, if we play that passive-aggressive, type of ball, it's not going to work against Detroit. And we're probably, like you said, that game could get out of hand very, very quickly. So, it's going to be interesting to see.
I really want to sit here and say that that's kind of what happened this past Monday in Green Bay, because if you look on both sides, offensively for Green Bay and us, both coaches were playing it very safe Monday night. and that's in the run game. I mean, hell, even Green Bay ran most of the night, and I could hear their fans, would you throw the ball? Like, holy crap. Like, they wanted him to throw, but he just wanted, like, they were running just like us. I really want to sit here and say that I believe both teams didn't anticipate how cold it was going to be that night, because in all honesty, I didn't anticipate how cold it was going to be. And I think it just kind of threw them off of their play calling a little bit. Because you know what I'm talking about. These coaches predict their play calling by weather patterns to a point.
Yeah.
If it's going to rain, you run the ball a little more. You don't pass as much. When it's cold, you run the ball a little more. You don't pass as much, especially in the snow. Like, I think these guys were expecting a little warmer game, and when they came in and they figured out, oh shit, it's actually fucking ice cold out, they weren't prepared for a game plan for that kind of weather. Because even when I went up there, I wasn't expecting it to snow. I wasn't expecting it to be that damn cold. Like, dude, I was outside smoking a cigarette, shaking. Like, it was February here in Pennsylvania, like, I just chattering. Like, it was so cold, dude. I don't think people understand. And I'm just hoping that's what that was. Like, we went in with a game plan, assuming that it'd be a little warmer, and it was not, because it wasn't. It was not warm at all, dude. It was so fucking cold. Like, and
you're from PA too. I mean, it's not like you're not accustomed to cold weather.
I lived in Alaska for 10.
Right. Yeah.
Like, no,
it came for a reason.
Cold, dude. It was very cold.
Yeah.
And so I'm really thinking that might just be what that hiccup was Monday. I mean, that's what I can assume, because I was cold, bro. I can only imagine how cold they were, and it didn't even look like they had prepared for the cold like that. I think I saw one heater on the sideline. One. You know what I mean? So I don't know, man. It was definitely a weird night.
Yeah, that is kind of weird, because you think in Green Bay, I mean, especially this time of year, going into the fall, approaching the winter, that they'd be more prepared and be more acclimated to the cold weather. Yeah, so it's like you said, it is kind of weird, and I think you're right. I think offensive coordinators.
It's different from 30-degree weather to 18.
Yeah,
like when I say they were expecting cold, I think they were expecting like 30-degree weather. But that night, dude, it was. I'd say 15 or 18. I mean, it was cold.
That's cold.
Very cold. So that's what I'm saying. That, like, you can anticipate cold. I understand that, but I don't think either team knew what they were walking into that night until it was too late. Because even when they were out there warming up, you could tell they were like, holy fucking shit. Like, it was just written all over their bodies. Most of them were out there in shorts and a T-shirt, just trying to get cold enough to get used to the weather. You know what I mean? Like, you could tell they were not happy to play.
Yeah,
but I damn sure wouldn't have been. But I was upset sitting in the stands in the fourth quarter, just like, can you all just get this over with now? Like,
You're like, please don't let this thing go in overtime, please.
Right? Like, I was like, Nick, if you make me sit here any longer, I'm going to punch you in the face. I might throw a snowball at you.
Yeah.
You know?
I would have been extra pissed them going for it on fourth down if I was sitting out there in that kind of cold. That's for sure.
Man. So
but there was one player that the cold weather really didn't affect, and especially him coming from a warm weather team like the Miami Dolphins, and that was Jalen Phillips.
Yeah.
I mean, dude played out of his mind for the first game with the Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, he played very, very well. He had a strip sack, a fumble recovery. I mean, multiple pressures on the quarterback. Played very, very well, and it was a breath of fresh air to see because we've definitely lacked that veteran experience on the defensive line, that, just that consistent type of pass rush. And yeah, you're right. I mean, obviously offensive coordinators take weather into consideration every single game. But like you said, I'm agreeing. I'm in definitely agreeance with you that I think it was a lot colder than they expected it to be.
Oh yeah, I know it was for me, and I was just a fan, dude.
Yeah. Yeah, and I played in.
And you could tell
I played in below.
Like they didn't have good traction out there in the field either.
Yeah,
like there was a few times I saw Saquon stand up after he got a handoff, and he would slip instantly. I mean, he fell instantly a few times.
Yeah,
and I
Jacobs
could see
as
him
well.
I could see him walking off the field, and as he would walk off the field, he'd lift his shoe up and look at the bottom of his cleats, like like checking to see if he needed to change his studs, like his studs weren't deep enough or something. The field was slick, man. It was slick because how cold it was.
Yeah. I've played in cold weather before. I've played in around freezing to barely below freezing weather, and when you get hit or when you hit somebody, you make a tackle in cold weather like that, until your body fully numbs up, it stings a little bit. So yeah, it's definitely something that if you're not used to it, it takes a while for your body to acclimate. And I think it did have an effect on both of the offenses this past Monday night for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, because like I said, man, you can anticipate cold, but that was a different kind of cold.
Mm-hmm.
That was one of those nights where you feel it in your bones. There's nights you can stand outside in the cold and you can have a cigarette and you're like, damn, it's cold, but you're good. And then there's other nights where you're just chattering and you don't know why. You're just like, I know it's cold, but fuck. Like, no, it was down to the bone cold, so I can only imagine how they felt, man.
Yeah. And speaking of weather, I mean, I think it's from what I've heard, they're expecting some rain in Philadelphia, I believe. Well, at least today. I don't know about tomorrow, but there is a storm pushing through Philly, so we'll see. If it's if there is some rain, or if it's still the field's still wet, or if there's wind. That could affect the kicking game and things like that. Even the passing game, if the wind's strong enough. But yeah, I mean, once again, the weather is going to have to be a big factor for both of these teams coming into tomorrow night.
Yeah. No, man, I'm just excited. I'm ready to get this game over with. This should have been the championship game last year. Now we all get to see it.
Yeah, and it would have been if Detroit didn't choke.
Right, and in better circumstances too, because last year they were way more injured than what they are right now. So,
yes, they are.
There is no excuses. We beat them. You can't hate. We beat you fair and square. You have Aiden. You have all your guys, except for a few. And we only have a few that we're missing. So, it's a fair game. Whoever wins, props to you.
For sure. For sure, yeah. I mean, like I said, I think Laporta being out is a pretty big factor for them and for us as well, as he's what they like to call a security blanket for Jared Goff. So Goff's
but they just unleashed Jameis Winston.
What's that?
I said, but they just unleashed Jameis and William. Is it Wilson or Williams? The other halfback to St. Brown. It's Williams.
Yeah, Williams.
Yeah. No, dude, they just unleashed him this past weekend. 180
Yes.
yards, and he made a statement. He let everyone know Jameis can play.
Oh, yeah.
Just because St. Brown's taking up everything. So that's all I'm saying, man. It's going to be interesting because we're going to see a Dory Jackson on Williams, and
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because we know that
he's better than what he was at the beginning of the year, because he's going to get toasted if he don't.
Yeah, we know Q Mitch is going to be shadowing St. Brown, so obviously he has Vic's full confidence in traveling with the opposing team's number one receiver, and you can expect to continue to see that tomorrow night. So yeah, I think you're definitely going to see, like you said, Williams. He had his coming out party last week, and you're going to see the ball go more to his side definitely tomorrow night. And it's not going to really matter whether it's Jackson, whether it's Bennett, or even Coop on the outside. They're not going to throw the ball to Mitchell's side very much. You can almost guarantee that, because he's shown, even though he's not putting up, the big interception numbers that the casual fan likes to talk about. But the dude has proven once again, his second year, he's not a fluke. He's a solid CB1, and he's very, very locked in and talented, and he's good at his craft.
Yep. No, he's definitely a shutdown corner, man.
Yeah.
And we're happy to have him, and Coop as well. So,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I'm all for it. I like our chances tomorrow night. Like I said, it's just which KP are we going to get?
Right.
Other than that, I have no doubt in my team. I have no doubt in my players. I have no doubt in anything. My doubt is solely on this offensive coordinator and how we run our offense. Other than that, I don't question players or anything. We got everything we need to keep winning. We have everything we need to go back to back. Just got to make sure we have the coaches to do it.
Yeah. And that JP, Hunt, Carter, Davis, Ojomo, BG, they are all salivating at the fact that they're going against a non-mobile quarterback this coming tomorrow night, because they're going to be salivating at the chance of just racking up some more stats, some more quarterback pressures, hopefully another strip sack or two, maybe even force an interception or two to boast our field position, things like that, flip a field on them, because their defense, they've definitely been they've been better against the run as opposed to the pass this year. So if we can get decent field position, make it easier on our offense to put up points on the board, that's just going to make things even easier on our defense. So, it's I'm very, very excited to have Jalen Phillips in Philadelphia, because the dude, I think we got a steal of a deal for him. I think we really do. I think we've only begun to see what he can do. He's a freak athlete. He can do pretty much anything you ask him to on the defensive side of the ball. And this, like he said about this team, I'll say it about him. The sky's the limit for this kid.
Yeah, man. I'm with you on the one thing. Don't panic if we don't walk away with the win tomorrow night. The one thing I will say that eases my mind, and I'll let everyone off with this before we get out of here. I can't look at a clear team this year and point and say they have the clear advantage. You know, the Packers, when they were ahead of the game and people thought they were the top dogs, they lost to the Browns, and then they lost to Panthers. You know, the
Yeah.
Bills just got blown out by the Miami fucking Dolphins, who are about to fire their entire team. We lost to the Giants,
They just fired their head coach.
right,
Yeah.
yeah. So, you know, the Chargers looked really good, and now they've been dropping. Kansas City, like Denver, was good there, and they dropped. Like, there is no clear cut team this year that you can look at and just say they are the ones. This is actually probably one of the most even seasons I've ever seen in a long time. To where this is anyone's game, truly, out of the 8 or 9 of us that are still standing. You know,
Mhm.
this is anyone's game. It's no guarantees. So that's what keeps me happy. That's what keeps me, you know, in positive, because you know that if there was a clear cut, then this wouldn't be probably so positive. But
Yeah.
the fact is, there isn't one. Everyone
Yeah.
has had a terrible game this year to terrible
Hmm.
teams. And we're talking even playoff teams that we're all expecting to be playoff contenders, championship and Super Bowl contenders. So
And even and
I look
even
at those losses as just small shit, you know, because
yeah.
we're all doing it right now. And if it was just us doing it, then I could see an argument. But
Right.
all the good teams are losing the bad teams right now. So
Even teams that are doing well that we didn't expect to do well, like the Colts,
yeah,
for example, right? They just dropped one within the last couple weeks to the Steelers,
yep,
who have not. I mean, they've been winning some games this year, but they haven't been playing anywhere near, any kind of lights out type of football. So
yeah,
yes, absolutely. All the upper echelon teams have had pretty bad losses. Like you said, the Bills lost to the terrible Dolphins. The Broncos almost lost to probably the worst team in the league, the Las Vegas Raiders, who should have beat them if they would have had any more, just a lick more of offense. They would have beat the Broncos.
yeah,
So and the list goes on and on. The Lions, they lost to Kansas City, who's not a scrub in any means, but they also lost to a team that we beat pretty handily in the Minnesota Vikings. So, yeah, the Green Bay dropped a couple of bad ones. We've dropped a bad one to New York. And, I mean, like you said, I think this is probably within the last probably 10 to 15 years, this is the
mhm,
most wide open the entire NFL has ever been, past the midway point of the season. No
yeah,
doubt.
yeah. And you know that's the only thing that keeps me, you know, holding my head up high, honestly, because what I've noticed is that we are having our struggles, but every team is, you know,
Mhm.
it is literally just going to be who's the team that gets out of their funk first,
Right.
you know. So
Let me ask you
uh,
this question real quick before we get out of here.
yeah,
I know you touched on it a little while ago in the fact that Dan Campbell took over play calling for the Detroit Lions recently. Do you think that if Nick Sirianni was more confident in calling plays, that he would have taken over play calling for the Eagles already?
oh yeah, yeah. Listen, a few weeks back when I watched that presser, and I forget who asked him, but somebody asked Nick, "Will you ever think about taking on play calling? You know, here in the next
Mm-hmm.
week or two?" He was very quick, very adamant, and he said no. Like I literally could see. I don't necessarily would call it fear, but discomfort in his eyes
Lack
about
of
having to
confidence.
do it. Oh, totally.
Yeah.
Um, you could tell he wants nothing to do with it, not a thing.
Right.
So, in a way, as a fan, that does make me feel a little less confident in him, because whenever you are a team in turmoil like we are right now, your head coach is supposed to be that guy to pull you out of that hole. You know,
Yeah.
and if my head coach is scared of that hole, I don't see us coming out of it. You know what I mean? I don't know, man. We've always doubted the man, and only one time have we been right, and that was in 2023, Brian Johnson. You know, we're still winning. You know, we're leading our division. And until things really go south, I'm just going to hold on because that's all we can do, really. You know, I'd love to walk in there and help them fix their problems, but can't do that. You know?
Yeah, unfortunately, we don't have that kind of pull.
Yeah. You know, but no, we'll
Yes,
see
sir.
what happens, man. Like I said, we're sitting pretty, we're sitting good. I'd rather have our dysfunction now, get good now, and at the end of the season be at our best. So
Mm-hmm.
whatever we got to do, man, to correct it, we'll get it figured out. I hope. But
Me too. Yep. It's not going to get any easier down the stretch. You know, we got Detroit tomorrow. We have Dallas who has shown at home that they can put up points, but their defense is obviously nowhere near as good as it needs to be. But then we got Chicago after that, and man, Caleb Williams, that kid is coming into his own this year. He really is. He's impressing me, and he's really kind of taken that team under his wing.
Yeah, he's not doing too bad, man. So far he's making me look like I don't know what I'm talking about. But
He's probably if I was going to pick one player in the NFC North as most improved, it would be him. You know, I think, yeah, he has definitely benefited from the new head coach that came over from the Detroit Lions, and yeah, I mean, another interesting thing that we could talk about a little bit. I know we're probably going to get out of here pretty soon, but I'm kind of interested to hear people's feedback too in regards to Jordan Love and whether he's kind of taken a step back this year. You know, there was a couple of plays against us this past Monday where he kind of felt that pressure coming and he got those happy feet a little bit and he forced the ball, or I should say he dumped the ball down short when if he would have just held in the pocket another second or two, he would have had an open receiver down the field. So, you know, it's kind of interesting to watch him, to watch his growth or his regression, however you want to look at it, as a quarterback. But I don't know. I think a lot of Green Bay's struggles offensively has a lot to do with their head coach.
I was about to say, I think
I'm not a fan of LaFleur. Not at all.
I was at the beginning, but I honestly think LaFleur has fallen off as a play caller over the last few years.
Agreed.
And I think LaFleur is actually starting to hurt Jordan Love now to a point, kind of like how Harbaugh's hurting Lamar. You know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, we'll see how that goes. I'm not exactly sure. You know, I know LaFleur is a love-hate relationship there. You know, they love him and hate him because he does do some stupid shit, but he also is a really good coach. Kind of sounds like our coach a little bit, but you know, because it is a love-hate with Nick as well. So, but yeah, man, we'll see what happens. Tomorrow night, 8 p.m. we play, and we'll know all we need to know from here on out. You know, maybe we just play up to our competition. Maybe that's just the way this team will be this year. Play shitty against bad teams, play good against good teams. You know, I don't know, but in all honesty, I'm tired of racking my fucking brain about it.
Mm-hmm. I think I think it's a good measuring stick for both teams. I really do. So we'll see.
Yeah.
We definitely will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
well, hey, man, you want to send us out?
Yes, sir. All right, everybody. We appreciate you being here with us in the live stream. And until next time, stay mean, stay green. Thanks for viewing us on your screen. Keep it fuego. We love and appreciate each and every one of you. Like I always say, you guys are the food and the water to the channel. Without you, it does not continue to survive. So if you're feeling the vibe, please like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, like I always say, keep it fuego.
Peace.